Hello everyone and welcome to Reddit News Daily. Today we'll be in the AskReddit subreddit where we'll be looking at questions and the answers that people give. Our first subject is, lawyers of Reddit, what is a detail that your client failed to bring up that you completely lost you the case? Let's begin. Lizard 96 Golf. Opposing counsel, isn't it true you hit the victim in the face with a brick? No, Marcus hit him with a brick. I hit him in the back with a piece of wood. Guilty lawyer. Little late to the party, but here goes. An obligatory, not my client. Company I worked for at the time was due diligence before acquiring a small tech startup. The COO of the tech startup was a well-liked guy in the company, friendly and outgoing, though we had heard rumblings that the COO was rather hands-on with the work with the female employees. Apparently, there was a walkaway package proposed to the COO that would let him keep a sizable portion of his post-acquisition bonus because a young woman who worked in the sales department had filed HR complaints against the COO and obtained counsel. I sat in on the meeting with the COO and the company's retained lawyers while they grilled him about his contacts with young women. The CEO denied ever having contacted her within the company without multiple other people present. Those people said his behavior toward her in the meetings didn't raise any flags. The CEO emphatically denied having any contact with her outside of work. The lawyers asked the question a half a dozen different ways, and each time the CEO denied any out-of-work contact. Later, we met with the woman and her lawyer, and the COO not present. Her lawyer gives us a rather graphic card that came with a bouquet of flowers addressed from her from the COO. The guy had an account with the florist linked to his credit card. When the company retained lawyers confronted him, he said, "But I never had contact with her. It's not like I delivered the flowers myself." CEO got terminated for costs, so no walkaway package. At a request, the woman was given pay time off until after the acquisition, then moved to one of the other companies under our umbrella. Philosopher 422. Employment case. We got to the deposition and my client and all set up. The first question is, please state your name. The client looks at me and says, "Can we take a break?" We do, and she pulls me out in the hall and tells me she's lied to me about her identity. She's apparently a serial fraudster and has changed identities 7 times since the 90s. She apparently thought the other attorneys had somehow figured it out, and that's why they asked the question. Jesus Christ. I wasn't a lawyer in this role, but I was a law clerk. This was a typical divorce case. The particular jury trial was about splitting assets and who would get what. It was a long, drawn-out case that took about 5 days. Right before the closing argument, the attorneys wanted to talk to the judge. It seems though a couple of days prior, the couple decided to get back together, and instead of telling the judge and their lawyers, they just kept it a secret. We heard 4 days of evidence, arguments, brought in experts such as land assessors, financial planning people, and the like, and they were back together. One of the attorneys asked to be dismissed from the case immediately and walked out of the courtroom. The judge had to dismiss the jury, and the couple was adamant that they didn't think that them getting back together was a detail any of the attorneys needed to know. Edit. Yes, in some states there are jury trials for divorces. However, this particular case wasn't for the divorce, but for a cause of action stemming from a divorce. Material property. It was a jury trial. There's a rule you're supposed to follow when you're questioning trial witnesses, and that rule is to never ask a question you don't know the answer to. Or you don't want to know the answer to. Despite this rule, lawyers often ask small, apparently inconsequential questions which are necessary to set the scene, but are so inconsequential and obvious that their answers are fairly presumed. This case was an exception to that general presumption. The defendant was arrested on a warrant and transported to jail. After booking him into the jail, the officer returned to his vehicle and discovered a baggie of drugs sitting right in the middle of the back seat. The defendant was charged with possession. At the trial, the officer explained that he routinely searches his vehicle before his shift starts and after any time he transports someone in the back seat. The defense attorney tried to poke holes in the story, but the officer's testimony was remarkably consistent. The officer was fastidious, sorry about that word, about his vehicle. The appearance of the drugs coincided with the defendant's presence in the vehicle. Then, as the defense attorney was running out of questions, he threw out the question: was there anyone else in the back seat of the vehicle? It was a Hail Mary. Even when there are multiple arrests, police tend not to transport more than one arrestee at a time if they can help it. There is no reason to believe anyone else could have feasibly been in the back seat with the defendant. Though it's no surprise to you, the defense attorney and prosecutor were stunned when the answer came back as yes. Turns out the defendant was with his girlfriend when he was arrested, and the officer courteously agreed to drive her to her apartment before taking her boyfriend to jail. This fact was not included in the police report. The officer never told the prosecutor, and shockingly, the defendant never told his attorney. There was palpable applause as the facts sunk in. Since there was another person in the back seat, there was more than enough reasonable doubt. Proof was concluded that the prosecutor threw out a half-hearted closing. The not guilty verdict was a given because of this case. I learned never assume a fact no matter how obvious it may seem. From Juggy Boy. I'm actually a lawyer, but I was only watching this trial, not participating. So the case was that Woman A had hit Woman B in the head with a heavy beer pint at a bar, and Woman B got some pretty serious injuries. The defense claimed that Woman A had not hit anyone with the pint, but instead had just thrown the pint in a random direction, and it happened to hit Woman B in the head. Thus, it was an accident and not battery. Well, the prosecution had a CCTV tape, closed circuit TV, and it was shown at the trial. And the tape clearly showed in high definition as Woman A walked behind Woman B and smashed the pint to her head so hard that the pint shattered on impact. I looked at the defense lawyer and his jaw literally almost hit the table. The prosecutor also noticed this and asked something along, "Thrown, eh?" And the defense lawyer said that due to technical difficulties, he couldn't get the CCTV tape to open on his computer when he was reviewing the evidence. Woman A was found guilty. Oh my god. Well, I guess the file extension wasn't, wasn't shared, or he was trying to use an old media player. Oh my god. I apologize. I was going to do a second AskReddit question, which I did. However, a lot of the topic was not safe for work. Also, a lot of the replies were mostly just, it would have been a lot of censored, and it turned out that the AskReddit question was more of a support question than anything else. So I went ahead and I removed it. Apologize for this video being short. I normally do one or two AskReddit questions. However, with the holiday, 4th of July coming up, I'm having to travel, so I had to redo this video, and I didn't have much time. So I appreciate you listening to it, and I apologize that it's short. And the next video will definitely be longer. Just need to watch the areas that I pick and post and stuff like that. Thank you. Please, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I post content daily. Thank you very much.